So 30 years, I know it's not a record by any means, but it's a bit of a landmark. Um, and it's not even this year, it was last year that I reached that point. But I thought it is kind of relevant to the situation that's going on at the moment with this pandemic, and economical implications of it all. Whereas there's perhaps maybe you're an employee who is going to be forced to go out on your own, start your own business maybe. Maybe you're an employer who is going to have to let people go and consider jumping back on the tools, getting back in shape. And when I say 30 years as well, that's not 30 years just dabbling and playing at it occasionally. That's 30 years going hard at it. Most of that time up until the present day has been as a lead climber, many years contract climbing too, or 20 at least, in different parts of the world. And lots of long days and lots of big repetitive trees, carrying out all kinds of work. And up until this present day, in fact I'm doing more now, longer days now, since I run my own tree service. I do longer days now than what I've ever done, on average. So you can say 30 years of doing a bit of pull pruning here and there and a bit of hedge trimming. It's not really the same thing as what I'm talking about here. So yeah, there's I made a few notes just to remind me and just to keep the video a little bit systematic. Just a few 5 or 6 talking points which then branch off and sort of merge. The first one is motivation. You have to be motivated to do the job and persevere in it, and have a long career. It might be the motivation or the need just to survive and pay the bills. You might be motivated to just be independent of others. Like if you have a tree service like mine, there may be that reluctance to depend on others. So you carry on doing the job yourself, so you're not beholden to anyone else. It might be partly, the need to have a job that gives you that physical and mental outlet that this occupation does, unlike others. Others have their own challenges, no doubt. I hate that word challenges, I won't use that again. But lots of people, office workers in particular, or those working within a hierarchy, that can be a political minefield, and they come home all frustrated and angry. And I've never really experienced that, or at least, put in context, if I did, I shouldn't have. I got frustrated over petty things in the past, but they were petty, and maybe they were unfair, maybe they weren't, but you transition and you change as a person over the years. Obviously everybody does. So the things that may have bothered me in the past, they don't bother me now. But not to go off the point. Or maybe you just enjoy working with trees. Maybe you like working outside, you like working with natural structures, and it's just a good part of your life that you'd like to continue with. So, but whatever the reason, if you're not motivated, it's like flogging a dead horse. You know what I mean? You're swimming against the tide. Every day is going to seem like a struggle, and you're probably in the wrong job. So you need to work to get out, really. Find a new avenue. Diet, lifestyle will affect the here and now and the future. You're only as good as what you eat. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but it is true. Your body will tolerate a lot of bad food and bad habits, and if you want to fill yourself full of drink and drugs and cigarettes, then you probably will still muddle through, but you have to understand that you're making things a lot harder on yourself than what they need be if you just lived a cleaner lifestyle and you put the right fuel in your body. The days and tasks that can be so much easier. You can repair better as well from injury, and all it has all kinds of implications, but that can often reflect where you are sort of in your life, what age you are and what type of things you appreciate. I know in my late teens and early 20s I was very ignorant about such things, and I ate what I liked the taste of when I had food, and obviously drank a lot, and spent most of my wages on alcohol actually, but thankfully I grew up, or grew out of that, and so yeah, it's all relative, and the more you look into it and the more you experiment, you can actually better your performance by probably 20-30%. And this sort of also ties into conditioning as well. I mean, I think that there's no substitute for actually being out there and doing the job. That's the best conditioning there is, because your body will optimize to whatever tasks you're doing. If you lift dumbbells all day, you're going to end up with big biceps. But if you're climbing trees and ropes and using chainsaws, you'll be a different shape than that. Perhaps you'll be more forearms. So, but aside from that, if you're working more sporadically, or if you're forced to take time off for whatever reason, or maybe your job doesn't involve as much climbing opportunities as you can, then perhaps there's some substitutes you could use to mimic or help keep or better your conditioning for when you are doing more climbing and cutting. So I personally, walking and climbing hills and small mountains, I've found to be the best one for me, because it gets the physical side of climbing, and the leg muscles and the core muscles are getting worked, and it's getting your heart rate up, which is really important, because when you're actually climbing trees, tall trees in particular, you soon get out of breath if you're not in condition, and big biceps don't really help you to do that. I know some people swear by running, or cycling, or swimming, and I can understand that. It's whatever gets your heart rate up. Skipping is also good exercise. In regards to working muscle groups, squats can help if you if you do a lot of rope walking and stuff. Pull-ups, good ones, press-ups, that kind of thing. But it's got to get your heart rate going though, because that is what you will find when you start or go back to climbing trees. You don't want to be struggling for air or gasping for air and out of breath. So lifting weights and all that, I'm a bit skeptical about the value of it. not when it comes to tree climbing. They might help you pick up massive logs and throw them on the truck, but that's not what we're really talking about here. It's just kind of, and they might make you look good in the vest in the summer, but that's not going to help your performance. If you look at the best climbers, the most athletic climbers that you may come across or you might be aware of, they're not big muscle-bound types, because their body hasn't optimized those muscle groups or that size and bulk when you're climbing trees. It's just not that relative to it. So but everybody's different, and whatever works really, but it's worth looking into and experimenting with, and just analysing your own performance really. And it depends as well to what level you're working at. If you're only doing short trees or what have you, you're not going to really be pushed that hard. So build the big biceps if you want, but when you're doing a lot of tall stuff, or if you have a lot to get through in a day, a lot of repetitive climbs, without spurs I should say, then the big muscles don't in the wrong places are just a hindrance. It's just weight pulling you down. And when we talk about weight, obviously body type plays a big part in weight. What kind of size you are, your bone density, your structure, that can play a big part in it. And certainly in longevity, from what I've seen over the years, the bigger guys seem to be on a shorter lifespan when it comes to being able to carry on and keep on climbing and cutting. Now it might be just to do with the fact that all that extra weight on the joints and the strain on the tendons and everything else is just a lot more to maintain. There's like a higher impact on everything, so they get worn out. They're not able to repair as quickly, perhaps. I'm not a big fella, so I don't know how it feels. I weigh probably 155 pound, so I'm nothing really. My power to weight ratio is probably much higher than a bigger person's would be in that same context. They may be much stronger than me, but within their body size, within their power to weight ratio, they probably would be weaker in a sense, if you know what I'm getting at. So whatever weight or size, so I should say whatever size you are, whatever shape you are, I think it's important to always try to keep your weight down, and weight can come in it can be kind of fat, it can be muscle, whatever it is. But it doesn't, muscle isn't going to help you if it's in the wrong places. It can just be sort of weighing you down. It needs fuel, it needs hydration, do you know what I mean? And over the course of a day, a week, a month, a year, and it's higher maintenance. So finding your optimum weight and size and being disciplined enough to keep it where it is quite important. If we look at longevity again, an obvious one is to protect yourself. Protect yourself from injury and accident, whether obviously good technique and education, and learning is how you awareness is how you protect yourself from having an accident. Technique and equipment are something else that you have to kind of scrutinize and explore. Both technique and equipment has evolved over the years, where we've got more options now, we've got better equipment, we've got more ergonomic equipment, and some techniques as well are just smarter than what they used to be. So don't be ignorant to that. You just you might think, well, I've been doing it this way for how many years, I don't need to change. You might not do, but you might be struggling unnecessarily and stubbornly when there's easier ways out there. It's, don't isolate yourself and kind of live in ignorant bliss or ignorant misery. It could be, there are some clever people out there who have been working and evolving on techniques and equipment, and if I went back 30 years and tried to do what I do now with the equipment that I had then, it would be, I just think about, it would be doable, but what a waste of effort so much of it would be. It would be so wasteful than the systems that I've got in place now. I honestly, there was a stage there when a few years ago, when because I'd always done the double line technique for everything, and injuries were building up, and I seriously thought, I'm gonna have to stop and find a new avenue, because I'm so uncomfortable with with the tendon damage and the damage to the back of my top of my back there and lower neck, from the hip thrusting technique. And when I see it now, it is just such a foolish motion, waste of effort, really, the whole hip thrusting thing vertically. Coming back in on limbs is a different matter. That's capturing progress, you know what I mean? But vertical ascents, hip thrusting, it's the stupidest thing. It really is, comparatively, compared to rope walking. It's so ergonomically wrong, and wasteful and slow. So switching to SRT when I did, it's just like a massive awakening. I mean, I still got the skills and they transitioned easily into SRT, but it gave me so many more options and faster methods. Speed is a big thing. It's just faster to do things. So yeah, it all falls under that category, protecting yourself, preventing accidents, and I suppose maintenance of yourself as well. Diet, we just covered that. Therapy, this is a therapy, prevention, yeah. I know some people swear by stretching in the morning, massage, chiropractitioners, and I can't really say too much about that, because it's never, I'll be honest with you, it's never really worked for me, other than stretching the tendons, because they're already a bit damaged and sore. So I do try to stretch and press and poke and prod around, a little bit in my shoulder too. Chiropractors, I'm not really a believer in that. I've come across lots of people who say, I've been going to this chiropractor for years and he's great, he's the best. You've been going for years and you're still not better though, are you? He hasn't actually fixed you. He hasn't solved whatever problem you think you have or what he tells you have. You're still going there. Let the person speak up who went to a chiropractor and never had to go again. That's who I want to hear from. That's the guy that I would call, to be honest. Not somebody, who's kept you coming back for 5 or 10 years. Don't tell me how great he is, because I just don't believe it, to be honest. He's in business too, don't forget, and his business is keeping you coming back to him. So I'm a bit cynical with that. I had a bad lower back injury once. I went to a chiropractor and it was nonsense, to be honest. I'm not saying they're all nonsense. There was kind of all jingly wind chimes hanging down and had this tranquil music in the background, and then he went through the whole bone crunching, twisting, pressing thing, and it was, I was making all kinds of clicking noises, and it was pure placebo effect. I'm sure of it. So I went a couple of times, and waste of time for me. I'm not putting a downer on anyone who says otherwise. You do what you want, but you can say what you want to in the comments about it. By all means, by any of these points, share your own experiences. But for me, chiropractor never worked out. Yoga is one as well. I hear people that swear by yoga. I can sort of see it, where it would help, all that stretching and twisting and funny poses and kind of focusing on certain muscles, and again, not for me. It's, it's too feminine. I don't hurt anybody's feelings or upset anybody by saying that, but it's just not me. Yoga pants and leotards, whatever they wear, and all that bowing and saying funny words at the end of it. No, you won't find me dead in a yoga class. So, but if you like it and talk about it in the comments. And just accept me for who I am too. I'm a very I don't know. I wouldn't say sexist, but I am who I am. I'm into things that are masculine, not feminine things. Not that yoga is feminine. I'm saying all the wrong stuff now. All right, move on from that. I think attitude. This is important, right? Attitude towards yourself, towards others, towards the tasks at hand. It's got to be positive, you can't be negative and sort of defeatist about things. You have to kind of, or I've found, that it's good to, when you face adversity, I'm sort of unaccepting of it these days. I kind of was when I was younger too, but it was for different reasons. It was because it was for bragging rights and just boasting among my friends, who many of them were also into tree work, and but now it's very much inward looking, and I just have a different outlook on life, and the things that those kind of physical discomforts, they motivate me to do better. I'm not accepting of weakness. I don't accept it in myself like as that's it. If I'm struggling with something, or if I have struggled, if I'm out of breath or I'm uncomfortable, then I don't blame the task. I don't say, well, that's a massive tree, or I had to go all the way up there and I had to come down there. I've sort of blamed myself, and I say, this is your fault because you're lacking something. You're lacking in technique, you're lacking in conditioning, and you need to turn that around. You need to work harder. And that's what I do. I just don't accept weakness. It's hard too, in a way, because if you don't accept it in yourself, it's even harder to accept it in others. So when you work with people who may be not as capable or at the level that you're at, then it's hard to accept failure and people missing the mark and not sort of trying hard enough, not improvising and not overcoming, and just accepting, well, that's it, that's as good as I'll ever be. I'd rather see people try and fail and keep trying than just say, oh no, I give up. And that's but did I always have that attitude? I don't know if I did, or if I did, it was for different reasons. But now the things that test me and sort of restrict me and slow me down, and the things that I find difficult and uncomfortable, and it can be just out climbing hills and mountains at weekends. It motivates me to do better. It makes me want to go faster. It makes me want to climb them hills faster, because I'm just not accepting it. I'm not accepting that weakness. I mean, I know I'm only human, and I know everybody is, but it's just up here. It's just that attitude. So it's a big deal. So well, I think that's everything for now. I mean, I could go on and I could elaborate, but I think we've covered a lot of the main points, 5 or 6 points, with some little in-betweeners there. So, well, and how do I feel now? I feel great, and I feel no different than what I did in my 20s. I feel better. And that's the God's honest truth. People say to me, a friend of mine, Jared, was saying the other day, oh, you need to start thinking about hiring somebody, and I think, well, why? Why would I try to fix something that isn't broken? It's I feel absolutely great, and I hope that's some sort of encouragement to anybody who is looking to stay in the job a long time, or who is at a stage like me, or has even gone further than I am. You really have to look at yourself as an individual. Forget about groups of people and what happened to somebody else, and ignore the naysayers too. The negative people who say, oh, you'll never do this and you won't do that. You really, the best work will come from in here. Be your own sort of motivator and set your own standards and goals. You know, if it's too much effort, if it's not worth it to you, then that's fair enough too. If you think this is actually too hard, or I'm not getting enough out of this doesn't motivate me enough to be that fit, to be that focused, you know, to go and climb those massive trees or put myself at risk anymore. When I balance everything out and I balance my priorities out, then it's not worth it. And that's fine, but that's about priorities, and that's where yours lie, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and that's not what this video is about. It is, you know, more to the point, it's just about if you do want to stay in the job, then these are just some things to consider, and some points and some goals and some values to sort of keep in mind, which will hopefully help you along the way. And it's a good job, you know, it's a good job. You'll never be a millionaire. I'll never be a millionaire, you know, but I tell you what, man, I would have never thought, you know, that I could possibly feel as good as what I do now, as strong as what I do now, not just physically but mentally too. And a lot of that is attributed to the line of work that I've found 30 odd years ago, and I'm still doing today. So alright, well, something to think about. Leave a comment, you know, if you want to add your story, say what you want, you know, just keep it clean if you can. And you know, if my words can't help somebody, then maybe yours can. In the comment section, maybe you can just relate to someone else better than what I can. It's all relative, you know. These are only my opinions and experiences through this period. You know, they're not going to be the same for everyone, but they may strike a few chords too, and you know, you might be able to relate to some of it. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Got another job on Tuesday. We've got a big dead tree to take down. I'm just waiting on the weather forecast whether to do it Monday or Tuesday. It's a big arbutus, a big dead one. So that'll be another video, hopefully. And alright, I'll let you go. Have a good Saturday.